Hey guys, my name is Gabby, and today I'm going to be doing my May wrap-up. It's that time of month again, and I can't believe June is here, to be honest. It's gone by really fast, so in the month of May, I was able to read 9 books, which I'm really excited about because I had a lot of time to read this month. So let's just get right to it then.
When the phone bush turns white, that's when I'll come home.
So the first book I read in the month of May was this book called The Day Before by Lisa Schroeder. This book is really a poetic kind of book about this girl who discovers this big secret about her family, and she goes to run away from them, at least for a day, and she meets this guy on the beach and stuff, and it's a really cute, easy, romantic read, and I read it in an hour. It's really short, and the poetic text of it makes it really easy to read really fast, but it was a really cute book, and I ended up giving it 4 out of 5 stars. The second book I picked up this month was Simon vs. the Homo Sapiens Agenda by Becky Albertalli, and this book was really, really cute. I gave it 4.5 out of 5 stars, and I actually did a full book talk on this book, so I'll put a link in the bio if you want to know more about it. Other than that, it's just a really, really cute contemporary book. Alright, so the third book I read this month was Black Iris by Leah Rader, and I honestly was so excited for this book. If you didn't know by now, I'm a huge fan of Unteachable, her first novel, and I rave about it all the time on BookTube, so I just was really, really, really expecting to love this book, and I only liked it. I gave it 3.5 out of 5 stars, and I had a lot of problems with it, but mostly just with the main character. I just thought that she was really bitter and angry and just kind of depressed and hard to read from. This book was so dark and the weirdest ways. This book is about a girl named Lainey who meets this girl named Blythe and this guy named Armin. They basically, to sum it up, are gonna help her get revenge on these people who did her wrong when she was a kid. I liked this book just not as much as I was expecting to, which was kind of disappointing, but alright. So the next book I read this month was Since You've Been Gone by Morgan Matson, and I finally got around to reading this one. This book has been sitting on my shelves since last October. I just was saving it so I could read it during the summer, because everybody says it's the best summer contemporary read, which I totally agree with. I finally read it this month and I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. I just loved it. It was so great. It's basically about this girl named Emily. Her best friend Sloane decides to leave over summer for unknown reasons, and Sloane leaves behind Emily a list of things that she can do over the summer, all these things. It's kind of like a bucket list type of thing. And so Emily thinks that if she completes everything on this list, that maybe Sloane will come back and it'll be okay. So she desperately wants to complete everything on the list. And not only that, but look at this cute. I love when books do this. Emily is kind of a shyer, person. She doesn't really have a lot of friends, and I just really relate to Emily a lot. She's such a relatable character, and I don't think I've related as much to a character since Kath from Fangirl, and I found Kath to be the most relatable character ever. So I just really, really loved this book. I loved seeing Emily make new friends and discover who she is, and it's a really, really great coming of age story. And of course all of the elements of the list make it have a summery feel, all these things that she's doing, she's trying to steal something, and she's trying to kiss a stranger and go skinny dipping and dance until dawn or whatever. It's just it's all these really adorable things, and each chapter is about a different thing that she completes on the list, and it's just all really cute. And there's these cute playlists throughout the book that I just love. Morgan Matson has amazing taste in music, and it just made it all the more fun. So this was a great one. I highly recommend this one. Alright, so the next book I picked up this month was Unravel Me by Tahereh Mafi. I read Shatter Me about a year ago. This is the sequel to Shatter Me, and the reason why I took so long to read it was because I actually didn't like Shatter Me at all. I gave it a 3 out of 5, I think, and I was being really generous, but everyone that I know was no, it's, Shatter Me was a weak first book. You have to continue the series. It gets so much better. And that's all I heard for a year whenever I said I didn't like Shatter Me. So I finally was okay, whatever. I'll just go to Barnes & Noble and pick this up and just whatever. And I loved this book. Oh my god. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars, I believe. And I gave it that rating because I do think that the first 200 pages of this book were a little bit slow, just because like I was sitting here like, okay, when's it gonna get good? But by the end of this book, there are so many shocking reveals about these characters, and it just gets so much better. The story picks up like a lot, and wow, it is so good. And we learned so much more about Kenji as a character and Warner as a character, and pretty much all of them, and I just really love this book. I mean, Juliet is still annoying to me, and I think she always will be, but I really like this book, so I definitely recommend this series, especially if you didn't like Shatter Me. Just continue on because this book was so much better. Alright, so the next book I picked up this month was Dreamland by Sarah Dessen. This book is about a girl who, like, her sister runs away from home, and so she feels like she has this like emptiness inside of her that she needs to fill, and she starts dating this guy named Rogerson who starts to abuse her. This is my very first Sarah Dessen book ever, so it was kind of, interesting to read a dark Sarah Dessen book as my first book, because I know her books are pretty light, fluffy contemporaries, but this book was really deep and intense. I think I gave it a 3 or 4 out of 5. I didn't love it, but at the same time, it was just okay. It was really hard to read at times. Alright, so the next book I picked up was, of course, Ignite Me by Tahereh Mafi, because I loved Unravel Me so much, so I just had to get my hands on this one. As you can tell by all these millions of tabs, I love this one. I think I did give it 4 out of 5 stars and not 5, because the beginning of this book I felt was just really, really, really repetitive for the first 200 or so pages. It was this back and forth repetitiveness nonstop, and it just kind of was irritating, and I was like, okay, come on, let's move along with the story. I couldn't give it 5 stars after being so frustrated with the beginning, But towards the end of this book, oh my god, I was just dying. I just love Warner so much. The series got so much better towards the end. This book is so good. It's just so great, and I might actually do a full Shatter Me trilogy book talk, just because I have a lot to say about these books, and especially the way this one ended. I didn't particularly like the way this one ended, just because it left a lot of things open, and I just would like to talk more about that, so maybe I'll do that soon. Alright, the next book I read this month was Never Never Part 2, and I know this is the first book, but I figured for the sake of this video I could just show this book because they have almost the same exact cover. I read this book in about an hour because of how short it was. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. I mean, it was okay, but I just felt like nothing happened, which was kind of depressing because I'd been waiting so long for answers after the cliffhanger at the end of this one. So it was just okay, but these books are separated into 3 parts, and with how small they are, it's we don't get a lot with each book, so I kind of almost wish that all 3 parts were just made into one book, and then they just had 3 parts within the book, like a lot of books do. And I think that that would make this series a lot better, because it is so hard to wait months and months and months to get the next book, and then it's just we don't really learn that much else, and we still have to wait for the next one, so it was just okay. I mean, I would recommend wait until Never Never Part 3 comes out, and then just marathon those 2 books, because I feel like it'll be a lot better that way. Alright, and the last book I read in the month of May was A Monster Calls by Patrick Ness, and I freaking loved this book. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars, and it was beautiful. This is actually the first Patrick Ness book I've ever read, and it certainly won't be my last. This book is about a 13-year-old boy named Connor who his mom is dying of cancer. He starts to imagine this tree in his backyard as a monster who tells him stories and things, and it might sound weird, but it's actually really deep and beautiful and emotional, and this almost kind of reminds me of the movie The Babadook, if you've seen it. It's an Australian film about this little boy who, starts to see this monster called the Babadook, kind of like the monster tree, but they're really only dealing with it because of the depression that the mother's going through with the death of her husband. So it kind of reminded me of this, because it has that same kind of dark feel where it's a young boy and his mom is either dying or really depressed, and it's just it's really intense, and by the end of this book I was like crying so hard. It was like ridiculous. It's just really good, and it really like opens your eyes to a lot of things. And I think that this book also has a lot to say about the way that we view villains and the way that we view wrong and right. You know, the monster tells these stories about these people who you think he's telling the story about the villain, but he's actually telling the story about the good guy. And it like takes Connor by surprise because he's like, no, that's not right. And he's like, well, who are we to know what's right and what's wrong and what the villain has gone through to make them that way? And it's just like really mind-blowing. Oh my god, I just love this book so much, so I highly recommend it if you haven't read it yet. Alright, so those were all the books that I read this month. Thank you for watching as always, I really appreciate it, and expect more book videos soon. I have a few tags that I kind of want to do. Maybe I'll be doing like a Shatter Me trilogy review as I mentioned earlier, so expect that soon. And thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.